Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a FCK is a guide to living a good life that goes against what you might think. Mark Manson, a well-known author and writer, suggests a way to be happy that is different from the positive thinking that is often preached in self-help books. Manson says that we might be happier if we don't always try to be positive, but instead accept the struggles and hard times that life brings. Not giving a FCK is the main idea of the book. But it's not about not caring or being uninterested, it's about being okay with being different and knowing you don't have to care about everything that comes your way. Manson says that we only have so many FCKs to give, so we need to be picky about what really deserves our time and attention. Manson breaks down the culture of mindless happiness that has taken over our society and calls it useless. Instead, he supports the idea that life is full of problems and that our happiness is based on how well we deal with these problems. People are happier when they get better at handling problems that are important to them. One of the main ideas is how important it is to fight for what we want. Manson says that battle is a way to grow and that we should welcome it instead of running away from it. By facing our own problems and realizing our own limits, we can learn to accept them and work through them, which can lead to true happiness. The book talks about a theory called the backwards law. It says that the more we try to get something, whether it's happiness, love, or success, the harder it is to get. This is because noticing a lack in these areas makes us focus on the fact that we don't have them, which has a bad effect. Manson says we should stop focusing on the end goals and start focusing on the trip, which means we should be open to failures, rejections, and uncertainty along the way. He talks about a concept called the disappointment panda, which is a character who tells hard truths in a metaphorical way. Manson uses this figure to show that life isn't always about comfort and pleasure, but about accepting and dealing with the harsh facts. In one story that stands out, Manson talks about how Dave Mustaine, the guitarist who helped start the band Metallica, was kicked out of the group early on. Even though Mustaine started the popular band Megadeth, he thought of himself as a failure because he always compared himself to Metallica. One of the most important ideas in the book is that happiness depends on what we choose to care about. This is a great example of that idea. He also talks about the difference between fault and responsibility, saying that bad things may not always be your fault, but it is always your job to make things better. This makes it less important to point fingers and more important to take steps to improve your position. The controversial title of the book might make you think it takes life too lightly, but it doesn't. Manson's doctrine urges people to think deeply about themselves, be aware of themselves, and have the courage to face hard truths about themselves and their lives. It's about figuring out what really means to you, what your values are, and then only caring about those things. So, Manson's advice isn't to stop caring about anything. Instead, it's to be more thoughtful about what you choose to put your energy into. He says it well. The key to a good life is not giving a FCK about more, it's giving a FCK about less, and only what is true, immediate, and important. Overall, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a FCK is a book that makes you think about how we try to find happiness today. It tells us to stop avoiding problems and start facing them, and it tells us to stop denying our limits and start accepting them. It says that happiness comes from working hard, caring about things that matter, and taking charge of our own lives to make them better. It's a new take on the self-help genre, and it doesn't just tell you how to be happy, it also makes you think deeply about what happiness is.